If you live like the average middle-class person in 2026, there's a very high chance you are accidentally building a lifestyle that looks successful on the outside while quietly destroying your long-term financial future underneath. Not because you're lazy, not because you're irresponsible, but because the economy changed faster than people's habits did. The advice that worked in 2012, 2016, even 2020, no longer works the same way in 2026. Prices changed, interest rates changed, algorithms changed, corporations got smarter, and millions of normal people are still spending money based on a version of reality that no longer exists. Today, we're going through 16 modern money traps that feel normal, feel harmless, and sometimes even feel responsible, but are silently costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. And some of these are going to hit very close to home. Let's start with item number 1. Buy now, pay later services. Emma is shopping online for clothes. Her cart total is $240, but instead of paying $240, the website offers her something that feels painless. For payments of $60 with zero interest, Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm. It feels harmless because technically, she can afford $60, but that's the psychological trap. Buy now, pay later services disconnect you from the pain of spending money. Instead of asking, can I afford this purchase? People now ask, can I afford this payment? And those are completely different questions. In 2026, the average American using buy now, pay later services has multiple active payment plans running simultaneously. Shoes, electronics, skincare, furniture, concert tickets, all stacked on top of each other like financial Jenga blocks. One missed payment turns into fees. Multiple missed payments damage your credit. And because the payments feel small, people massively underestimate how much they're spending overall. Emma isn't buying clothes anymore. She's renting her own lifestyle from the future version of herself. Item 2. Luxury apartments you can barely afford. Meet Jason. Jason makes decent money, around $85,000 a year. He just moved into a luxury apartment downtown because he wanted the rooftop pool, the gym, the lounge area, the giant windows, the coffee bar in the lobby, all the things social media convinced him successful adults are supposed to have. His rent is $3,200 a month. After taxes, Jason is spending nearly half his income just to exist inside a building with nice lighting. Here's what people forget. Luxury apartments are designed to maximize emotional spending. You walk into the lobby and feel like you've made it. But feelings don't build wealth. Cash flow does. Jason's apartment isn't an asset. It's a subscription to a temporary feeling of status. And in 2026, rents in major cities have risen so aggressively that millions of people are financing an identity they cannot sustainably afford. If Jason moved into a clean but normal apartment for $2,100 instead and invested the difference every month, over 25 years, he'd likely end up with over $1 million. Same city, same job, different decision. Item 3. Constantly replacing perfectly good clothes. Fast fashion used to mean cheap clothing. In 2026, it means something different. It means people buying entire new identities every few weeks because the algorithm showed them a new aesthetic. One month it's quiet luxury, next month it's old money, then minimalist streetwear, then gym culture, then European summer fashion. Companies figured out something terrifyingly profitable. People no longer buy clothes because they need clothes. They buy clothes because they need emotional novelty. Olivia has 14 pairs of shoes, 3 closets full of clothes, and still says she has nothing to wear. Every package gives her a tiny dopamine hit. Then the feeling disappears and the cycle repeats. If you added up what the average young professional spends replacing wearable clothes over 30 years, the number becomes staggering. Not because one purchase is huge, but because the behavior never stops. Item 4. Overpriced coffee habits. Now before people get angry, this isn't about never buying coffee. It's about unconscious spending becoming permanent routine. Daniel buys a coffee every morning on the way to work. 1 iced latte. $8 after tax and tip. Doesn't sound catastrophic, but Daniel works about 240 days a year. That's nearly $2,000 annually on coffee alone, invested over 30 years. At market returns, that habit approaches $250,000. The issue isn't coffee. The issue is autopilot spending. Most people never intentionally decided they wanted to spend $250,000 on caffeine over their lifetime. It just happened slowly enough that nobody questioned it. Item 5. Financing phones, watches, and gadgets. Companies realized something incredibly powerful over the last decade. People resist large upfront prices, but they barely notice monthly payments. So now almost everything comes with financing attached. Phones, smartwatches, earbuds, tablets, gaming systems. Ryan has a $38 phone payment, a $19 smartwatch payment, and a $24 laptop financing plan. None of them individually feel expensive. Together, he's paying over $1,000 a year in gadget debt for products that lose value almost immediately. The companies love this because it normalizes permanent consumer debt. People used to save up and buy things. Now they subscribe to ownership itself. Item 6. Premium groceries that pretend to be healthy. Walk into a grocery store in 2026 and you'll notice something interesting. Almost every product now has wellness branding attached to it. Organic, protein-packed, gut-healthy, functional, clean, superfood, ancient, grains, adaptogenic. Most of it is marketing. Sophia spends nearly $400 a month extra on premium health foods because the packaging makes them feel superior. But many of these products are nutritionally almost identical to normal alternatives, costing half the price. The food industry discovered that fear sells better than flavor, convinced consumers normal food is dangerous, and suddenly they'll pay triple for oat milk with minimalist packaging. Item 7. Destination weddings. 10 years ago, weddings were expensive. In 2026, they have become financial destruction disguised as romance. Plane tickets, hotels, bachelor trips, outfits, gifts, time off work. One wedding invitation can quietly cost guests $3,000. Mir attended 6 weddings last year. Total cost, nearly $18,000. That's more than many people contribute to retirement accounts. Somewhere along the way, weddings stopped being ceremonies and became week-long luxury productions, funded by social pressure. People are going into debt to celebrate other people going into debt. Item 8. Side hustles that barely make money. This one is controversial because side hustles can absolutely be valuable. But in 2026, there's an entire economy built around selling people the fantasy of entrepreneurship. Instead of actual profitable businesses, Ethan bought the course, then the upgraded course, then the mentorship, then the AI automation toolkit, then the dropshipping software subscription, then the content repurposing app. He spent $9,000 trying to build a business that made $600. The modern internet economy profits more from people wanting freedom than from people actually achieving it. There's nothing wrong with building extra income, but many people are trapped in a cycle of endlessly preparing to become successful instead of doing simple work that actually earns money. Item 9. Expensive skincare routines. Emma is back, standing in front of her bathroom mirror. There are 14 products on the counter: serums, toners, exfoliants, overnight masks, collagen creams, peptide moisturizers, under eye patches. Total monthly cost, about $280. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most dermatologists agree that for the majority of people, effective skincare is surprisingly simple: sunscreen, moisturizer, retinoid if needed. Everything else exists because beauty companies discovered they could turn insecurity into recurring revenue. The modern skincare industry doesn't sell products. It sells the promise of stopping time. Item 10. Constantly upgrading furniture and home decor. Social media turned homes into content, and now millions of people feel pressure to redesign their living space every time trends change. Noah bought a perfectly good couch 3 years ago, but now beige minimalism is out and darker earth tones are trending, so he's replacing furniture that still functions perfectly because his apartment no longer matches the internet's current aesthetic. Home decor companies thrive on making normal homes feel outdated. The couch didn't become worse, the algorithm just got bored of it. Item 11. Overpriced gyms with no attendance. Every January, millions of people sign contracts with luxury fitness clubs, sauna, recovery lounge, smoothie bar, LED lighting. Ashley joined one for $240 a month because she believed paying more would finally motivate her to work out consistently. By March, she stopped going regularly, but she kept paying because canceling felt embarrassing. Gym companies know this. A huge percentage of their profits come from members who rarely show up. They are selling optimism more than fitness. Item 12. Daily convenience spending. This is one of the most dangerous categories because it hides everywhere. Grocery delivery fees, express shipping, airport food, pre-cut fruit, convenience store snacks, paying extra to avoid tiny inconveniences over and over again. Modern corporations are monetizing impatience at industrial scale. Marcus spends an extra $15 here, $22 there, $11 here. None of it feels important, but over a year, these tiny convenience decisions quietly consume thousands of dollars that could have compounded into real wealth. Item 13. Luxury vacations financed on credit cards. Social media created an environment where people feel pressure to document experiences they cannot financially support. Chloe booked a $9,000 vacation because memories are priceless, but the vacation went on a credit card charging 24% interest. The photos lasted a week online. The debt lasted 3 years. This is the hidden reality behind many luxury travel posts. A surprising amount of modern lifestyle content is financed by future financial stress. Item 14. Keeping up with richer friends. This one destroys more finances than people realize. Human beings naturally normalize the spending habits of the people around them. If all your friends take luxury trips, eat at expensive restaurants, and buy designer products, your brain slowly starts treating those behaviors as standard instead of exceptional. Kevin earns $70,000, but spends like people earning $200,000 because his social circle operates at a completely different financial level. One of the fastest ways to stay broke in 2026 is trying to maintain the lifestyle of people with entirely different incomes. Item 15. Gambling disguised as investing. Crypto meme coins, zero-day options, sports betting apps, leveraged trading accounts. Entire industries are now designed to make speculation feel like financial intelligence. Jacob checks stock charts every 15 minutes. He thinks he's investing, but emotionally, he's gambling. Real investing is boring, slow, predictable, automated. The more exciting money feels, the more dangerous it usually becomes. And finally, item 16, lifestyle inflation. This is the silent killer behind almost every financial problem in modern middle-class life. Sarah gets a raise, then immediately upgrades her apartment, her car, her wardrobe, her vacations, her subscriptions, her restaurants. Her income rises, but her wealth barely moves. Most people never experience the benefits of earning more because every increase in income gets instantly consumed by a more expensive lifestyle. Lifestyle inflation is dangerous because it feels deserved. You worked hard. You want to enjoy your success. That's reasonable. But if every raise disappears into higher monthly expenses, you're running faster without actually moving forward. That's the real theme connecting every item on this list. Modern consumer culture is engineered to keep people financially comfortable enough to survive, but too distracted to build actual wealth. Every company wants your money on subscription. Every app wants recurring payments. Every algorithm wants you emotionally stimulated enough to keep spending. And the dangerous part is that none of it feels extreme in the moment. It feels normal. That's why so many intelligent people end up financially stuck for decades without understanding where the money went. The people who quietly build wealth in 2026 usually are not the flashiest people in the room. They drive reasonable cars. They keep phones longer. They ignore trends. They automate investments. They avoid debt whenever possible. They understand something most people never fully internalize. Wealth is not built through giant heroic decisions. It's built through thousands of small invisible decisions repeated consistently for years. And if you remove even 4 or 5 of the habits from this list, the long-term difference becomes enormous, not just because of the money you save today, but because of what that money could become if invested consistently over the next 20 or 30 years. That's the part most people miss. Every unnecessary expense has 2 costs: the money itself and the future growth that money never got the chance to produce. The modern economy is incredibly good at convincing people to spend money emotionally while calling it convenience, self-care, productivity, identity, or success. But underneath all the marketing, the math still matters. It always will. Now here's the uncomfortable part nobody likes talking about. Most people think wealth is mainly about how much money you make. In reality, in 2026, wealth is increasingly determined by how many financial traps you successfully avoid. Because modern companies are no longer competing just for your attention. They are competing for permanent access to your bank account. Every app wants a subscription. Every brand wants monthly payments. Every platform wants recurring revenue. And most people are slowly turning their paycheck into hundreds of automatic withdrawals they barely even notice anymore. Let's continue with item 17, luxury pet spending. Meet Rachel. Rachel loves her dog, genuinely, and companies know exactly how powerful that emotional connection is. That's why the pet industry exploded into a nearly $1 trillion market. Premium organic dog food, dog anxiety blankets, birthday cakes for pets, GPS smart collars, pet strollers, monthly toy subscriptions, luxury grooming spas. Rachel spends almost $600 a month on her dog without realizing it. And the craziest part is that much of the spending is driven by guilt. Modern advertising constantly suggests that if you truly love your pet, you should always be buying something for them. But pets do not care about luxury branding. Your dog does not know whether the treat cost $4 or $27. Companies are monetizing affection at industrial scale. Item 18. Paying for speed everywhere. Priority boarding, express checkout, premium shipping, VIP lines, fast pass upgrades, premium customer support. In 2026, corporations discovered that people hate waiting more than almost anything else. So they created a business model around selling tiny amounts of time back to consumers. Alex spends an extra $20 here, $45 there, constantly paying to move slightly faster through life. Individually, the purchases feel small, but psychologically, something bigger happens. People become conditioned to believe that every inconvenience should be solved with spending. Patience used to be normal. Now it's treated like a failure of optimization. Item 19. Expensive dating culture. Dating in 2026 has quietly become one of the most expensive social activities in modern life. Ethan spends $120 on dinners, cocktails, ride shares, and events multiple times a week because online dating normalized endless first dates with people he barely knows. And here's what changed. Dating apps created an environment where people feel replaceable, so everyone feels pressure to perform financially to stand out. Better restaurants, better experiences, better clothes, better vacations. Entire industries are profiting from romantic insecurity. The average person is spending thousands every year trying to appear more successful than they actually are. Item 20. Productivity obsession. This is one of the sneakiest money traps in existence because it disguises itself as ambition. Olivia buys every productivity tool imaginable. AI assistants, note-taking apps, premium calendars, workflow systems, standing desks, blue light glasses, focus supplements, time management courses. The modern productivity industry has convinced people that buying systems feels almost the same as improving their lives. But most productivity problems are not technology problems. They are discipline problems. A notebook and consistent habits outperform thousands of dollars of optimization. Products for most people. Item 21. Investment pieces. This phrase has become financial poison. Luxury brands love calling expensive products investment pieces because it reframes emotional spending as responsible decision-making. A $4,000 handbag is suddenly an asset. $1,500 jacket becomes timeless. Daniel bought a luxury watch because influencers told him it holds value. But here's reality. Most luxury goods are terrible investments once you factor in inflation, resale fees, maintenance, insurance, and market fluctuations. The majority of people buying luxury products are not investors. They are consumers searching for status while pretending it's financial strategy. Item 22. Oversized homes. Americans have been trained to constantly want more square footage regardless of whether they actually use it. Meghan and Chris bought a 5-bedroom house because they thought it represented success. They used 2 bedrooms. The rest sit empty while they pay enormous mortgage payments, property taxes, heating bills, cooling bills, furniture costs, maintenance costs, and cleaning expenses. Bigger homes don't just cost more once. They create permanent recurring expenses forever. And in 2026, many families are house poor, living inside beautiful homes while financially stressed every month. Item 23. Influencer-driven spending. Social media advertising became almost invisible. People no longer realize they're being sold to because the sales pitch arrives disguised as entertainment. Your favorite creator casually mentions a supplement, a travel bag, a skincare routine, a mattress, a financial app, a morning routine product. It feels authentic because it's wrapped inside someone's lifestyle. But the business model underneath is simple. The more insecure viewers feel, the more products they buy trying to imitate successful people online. Entire careers now exist around manufacturing aspiration for profit. Item 24. Overpaying for convenience food. Jake says he doesn't have time to cook, so every day he buys prepared meals, protein shakes, snack packs, bottled coffee, and delivery lunches. Individually, nothing looks outrageous, but compared to buying basic groceries and cooking simple meals, Jake is spending nearly 3 times more for food. Convenience food is one of the biggest inflation multipliers in modern life. Companies realized that exhausted people will pay enormous markups to avoid effort. The more tired society becomes, the more profitable convenience becomes. Item 25. Constant self-improvement purchases. This one sounds productive, which makes it dangerous. Courses, masterclasses, conferences, workshops, certifications, personal development books stacked unread on shelves. Amanda genuinely wants to improve her life, but she's trapped in what psychologists sometimes call self-improvement consumption. She keeps buying information instead of implementing information. Modern self-help industries often profit more from repeated inspiration than actual transformation, because someone who permanently changes their behavior stops being a customer. Item 26. Luxury apartment amenities you barely use. Remember Jason from earlier? There's another layer to the trap. He thought he was paying for a better living experience, but the rooftop pool is mostly empty. The golf simulator gets used twice a year. The co-working lounge sits vacant during weekdays because residents are at work. The luxury gym still isn't enough to make him exercise consistently. Companies bundle aspirational amenities into housing because people imagine the person they could become inside those environments. But humans massively overestimate how much amenities actually change behavior. Item 27. Expensive children's activities. Parents are under enormous pressure in 2026. Every child now seems enrolled in private coaching, elite sports programs, coding camps, tutoring services, travel teams, language academies, and enrichment activities costing thousands annually. Parents fear that, if they don't provide every possible advantage, their children will fall behind. So families are draining retirement savings to fund hyper-competitive childhoods. But research consistently shows that parental stability, emotional support, and consistent involvement matter far more than endlessly expensive extracurricular schedules. Item 28. Luxury beauty maintenance. This category has quietly become a second rent payment for many people. Hair appointments, lash extensions, nails, fillers, Botox, skin treatments, brow appointments, spray tans, premium cosmetics. Monthly beauty maintenance can easily exceed $1,000 in major cities. And again, the issue is not occasional spending, the issue is normalization. Social media dramatically raised beauty expectations over the last decade. Because filters, editing, and cosmetic enhancements became mainstream, millions of people are now financially maintaining appearances that didn't even exist as normal standards 15 years ago. Item 29. Constant tech ecosystem upgrades. Tech companies no longer sell standalone products. They build ecosystems designed to pull you deeper into recurring spending. Smart home devices connect to subscriptions. Cars connect to apps. Appliances connect to memberships. Printers require proprietary ink subscriptions. Software requires monthly plans instead of one-time purchases. Consumers are slowly losing ownership over the products they buy. You don't fully own many modern products anymore. You rent functionality continuously. Item 30. Treating boredom with spending. This may be the most important item on the entire list, because it sits underneath so many others. Modern life trained people to spend money whenever they feel emotionally uncomfortable, bored, order food, stressed, online shop, lonely, buy something, tired, upgrade something, sad, travel somewhere. Corporations figured out that emotional discomfort is one of the most profitable resources in the world. The average person no longer sits with boredom long enough to think clearly because there's always another purchase one click away. Item 31. Chasing status instead of freedom. This is where the financial game completely changes. Most middle-class spending is actually status spending disguised as practical spending. The luxury car isn't transportation, it's identity. The designer clothes aren't fabric, they're social signaling. The expensive vacation isn't relaxation, it's proof. But here's the problem. Status has no finish line. There will always be someone richer, more stylish, more successful, more impressive. If your financial decisions are driven by impressing other people, you are entering a competition that never ends. Meanwhile, financially free people often look surprisingly ordinary. They buy things they genuinely value and ignore the rest. They understand that real wealth is not looking rich. Real wealth is owning your time. Being able to walk away from toxic jobs. Being able to handle emergencies without panic. Being able to sleep at night without debt crushing your chest. That kind of freedom rarely looks flashy on Instagram. Item 32. Ignoring compound interest until it's too late. This is the final trap because it amplifies every other mistake on the list. Most people understand spending emotionally but fail to understand compounding mathematically. Every unnecessary $100 expense is not just $100. It's what that money could have become over decades if invested. That's the invisible part of modern spending people rarely calculate. The future value disappears silently. A single unnecessary $500 monthly expense invested at historical market returns over 30 years becomes enormous. That's how normal middle-class lifestyles quietly erase millions of dollars. A future wealth without people realizing it in the moment. Nobody feels broke while making the decision. The consequences appear decades later. And to be clear, this is not about never enjoying your life. That's another extreme trap people fall into. Money is a tool. Experiences matter. Comfort matters. Fun matters. The point is intentionality. Wealthy people are often not the people who never spend money. They are the people who spend deliberately instead of emotionally. The modern economy survives by keeping consumers slightly dissatisfied all the time, slightly insecure, slightly anxious, slightly behind. Because dissatisfied people spend more. If corporations can convince you that happiness always lives one purchase away, they gain access to your future income forever. That's why financial discipline in 2026 is no longer just about math. It's psychological defense. It's the ability to separate your real needs from manufactured desires. It's the ability to ignore trends long enough for compounding to work quietly in the background while everyone else is distracted. And here's the strange thing. Most people already know many of these purchases are unnecessary while they're making them. Deep down, they know the oversized truck is too expensive. They know the luxury apartment stretches the budget. They know the subscription stack is ridiculous. But modern culture rewards immediate emotional gratification far more than long-term thinking. The pain of saving is immediate. The reward is delayed. The pleasure of spending is immediate. The consequences are delayed. And humans naturally drift toward whatever feels rewarding right now. The people who eventually escape this cycle usually make one important mental shift. They stop asking, "Can I afford this payment?" and start asking, "What is this costing my future freedom?" That single question changes almost everything, because every dollar you keep invested is an employee working for your future life. Every unnecessary recurring expense is an employee you fired before they had time to produce anything meaningful for you. And over decades, those tiny decisions separate people who permanently feel financially stressed from people who quietly build stability, options, and freedom.